Have you started wondering what sustainability certifications or ratings your business needs to keep meeting the demands of your largest customers? This video is for you. I'm not going to do many slides. I'm going to hop on the website of some of these ratings firms or certification companies so you can see in real time what they're after. Okay, let's go. All right, setting the scene first. Why would you watch this video? It's likely because a large client of yours has started asking you if your business has a certification or a rating or something. And so, what I want to do is go through the ones that I see the most coming up. How does this happen to a business like yours? Well, likely a very large customer like General Motors or AstraZeneca or Google or Amazon, for example, has decided that people that supply to them have to have sustainability strategies. So, how will you hear about this? Well, maybe you'll get an email from the procurement contact you have there, for example, and they'll say, hey, just letting you know that we're rolling out mandatory sustainability screening for everybody in our supply chain. You know, you have to the end of this year to do it. That's how you're going to find out about it. What they're asking you for, let's get into it. My name is Lindsay Hampson, and I'm a sustainability consultant. I've worked with over 50 companies, I can't even believe it, over the last 3 years on sustainability at different types of businesses. So I've kind of seen it all. So in some cases, a client of mine, will need help because a large customer of theirs sent them an Excel spreadsheet, and all the questions in the sheet are related to their energy consumption or their greenhouse gas emissions, or did they set any targets for net zero, things like this. And they're going to have to answer back by XYZ date, or else they can't supply to them next year. Sometimes I see things in a more sophisticated way where a big company will email a client of mine or a new prospect of mine, and they'll say, click this link. We need you to do CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project, or EcoVadis by December, for example. So when you open that and create a portal or a link, it becomes this huge thing, this huge project that you're not ready to take on. So that's usually how this all happens. Now let's talk about what you got to do. So all around me are typical certifications or rating systems that I've seen businesses need to do around the world. And now I'm going to spend a couple minutes going through a few of them and explaining how they work.
So this is EcoVadis. If you got a link to it from your large customer, you'd come here and you can go to sustainability assessments. Why get a rating? Well, they're asking you, so if you don't do it, you might lose them as a customer. There's some sample scorecards, but typically what you like to look at is getting an EcoVadis medal or badge. There's a few main areas for the EcoVadis survey, and we'll talk about that. The scorecard is what you get after you do the initial questionnaire. They give you benchmarks and guidance. You can see 360 Watch in case there's a reputational concern from your company. There's EcoVadis Academy. You can get metrics and reporting. And there is a partner directory. That's kind of how it works. You register online, you answer this questionnaire. You get an analysis back, and then you get a rating, and you can always improve your score. What do they test on? Let's go to that really quickly as well. So here we are on what they test on. We'll just go down right here. The environment, ethics, labor and human rights, and procurement. And so you have to do well across all of them to do well for EcoVadis, but definitely some are weighted heavier depending on your industry. And then you can scoop up some badges or medals. So the medals are up here. It depends on how you sit for your industry size and location. And then you can also just get a committed badge, committed or fast mover too as well. So definitely you can celebrate your achievement, put it on your website, tell your customers that asked you, and so on. EcoVadis takes about 6 or 8 weeks to get back to you with your scorecard after you've hit submit. I usually tell people give yourself at least minimum 3 months to fill this thing out. And you need to renew it or redo the questionnaire every year. So this is the CDP, and it's the Carbon Disclosure Project. A little different than EcoVadis. This one's actually due at the same time for every company every single year. Here are the key dates. It usually pops out, and list of requesters is around June. The response window opens around the middle of June, and then it's due September. And then the week of the 17th of November this year, that's the deadline to submit. Anybody else that doesn't want to get scored but still wants to submit. And what kind of questions they ask you? Well, it depends on how big you are. If you're a big company or public authority, you'll have a larger questionnaire. There'll be climate, forest, water. If you're an SME or a small or mid-sized enterprise, your questionnaire is a bit smaller. Again, there's scoring methodology. You can do scope 1 and scope 2 emissions, not necessarily needing to do scope 3 or have a third party assure your data. City states a little different. Cities and states have a different scoring methodology. Definitely makes sense, right? So there's lots of information out there, a couple of key changes, but CDP is something that may come up for you from your large customer, and you're going to have to do it, and the deadline won't be flexible.
A question I typically get is, what if we do nothing? Can we just ignore it? Yeah, I mean, you can always just ignore these requests, but what I've seen, my experience is if you ignore them for too long, you're going to lose that business. Or, same kind of vein, you may lose new prospects or you may lose out on RFPs for new business because your business doesn't have a sustainability certification or rating. So it's going to cost your business, revenue by retaining customers or getting new customers. How hard are these? It varies. I'll be honest with you. Some of them very easy. I would say an Excel spreadsheet's pretty easy, or a Google form to fill out if that's what your customer needs from you. If they need a certification or a rating, it can take a little longer. I always say to clients, minimum 3 months to start building a sustainability strategy. But of course, it takes several years to start getting really good at sustainability. So yeah, it's going to take a bit of time. You don't need to hire internally always. You can use an outside consultant, for example, and maybe ramp up for a year or two, and then your folks on staff will already know how to do sustainability, know how to track the data, and so on. I hope this video was helpful in just understanding what different certifications and ratings are out there. Don't do one unless you have to, unless your company really wants to. Usually the driver is a burning platform where your business really does have to go get that certain certification in order to keep one of your biggest customers happy. All right, I'll tell you though that doing sustainability or going through sustainability is helpful by, motivating your staff, getting new people. Your reputation can be enhanced, and it's not greenwashing or lying at all because you're actually making these changes, actually starting to calculate your emissions, your footprint, and starting to come up with ways to reduce it. Also, I'll just point out that sustainability is more than just only the environment. Sometimes you'll be asked to make sure you have a modern slavery or child labor policy, that you're tracking that everybody has agreed to a code of conduct, for example. And this can also include your own suppliers. So sustainable procurement for your own supply chain, we're definitely seeing too. All right, I hope this video was helpful in understanding what certifications or ratings your company will need in order to stay competitive for the next 50 years. All right, thanks so much for joining me for this video. I hope it was helpful, and have a great week. See you later.